for joining us. This is Paul Wilson, and you're listening to the Diesel Performance Podcast. Guys, today I'm doing it solo, but no problem. You're still going to have just as much content, I promise. This week over at Duramax Tuner, we have been busy. The shop is packed. We have an odd job. We have a gas job in there, but it's actually a cool gas job. So we have a I don't know what year, a newer SS Camaro in getting, clutch, supercharger, exhaust, the works. So that's been kind of a cool project. It's a little bit off topic, off color for us. But don't worry, there's still been a ton of diesel stuff going on. So we just got done shooting another class with High Performance Academy. If you guys haven't heard of High Performance Academy and you love to really nerd out about diesel or tuning, what they do is they host an online school to learn about tuning. And now they're also adding engine building and wiring and all sorts of other cool topics. Nick got to go out to New Zealand and actually shoot some classes with them and then come back here, and we got to shoot some more classes here on our dyno of teaching people how to tune diesels. It's not specific to any one software. It's not specific to any one brand. It's awesome knowledge. It's really affordable too. So go over and check out highperformanceacademy.com. We call them HPA for short. Really great guys, really cool stuff. I've watched all the classes. It's excellent content. So if you guys haven't done so already, definitely check that out. Draggy competition is the other thing I want to talk about, guys. I have been out beating on the BMW. It is not a race car, is what I have learned. So please, somebody come out in the emissions equipped class, smoke this thing. I posted up a 10-second run. I have pulled a 988. I didn't get good video, though, so I'm not using that one. But I know that the car can go faster. I've had a couple of quicker passes than that, really trying to shave every 10th or every 100th of a second off that I can. But what I'm finding is I'm not getting a lot of other guys in the emissions equipped class to go ahead and submit their numbers. I have seen quite a few passes. I know quite a few people are out there with draggies making runs right now. However, I'm not seeing a ton of submissions. So if you haven't got your submission in, do it now. Exergy Performance, of course, heading up our unlimited class. They're really excited. I think we're going to get some really fast trucks into that class. We're really opening up the rules. If you got something that's fast, if you got something that you think can make a quick pass, get an entry in for that class, man. That's not going to have a lot of guys, but it's going to have some fast ones. Then, of course, we have the WC Fab Big Turbo class. So everybody running twin turbos, triple turbos, S400s, S300 remote mounts, all that crazy type of stuff, all that super fun, hard-hitting, street-driving trucks. Man, you guys can all really, I think, duke it out in that WC Fab Big Turbo class. The Stealth Turbo class, that's, of course, for our stock and stock appearing. So if you have, a 2017 and you've done some modifications maybe from another company and you don't know what class to go into, hey, jump into that Stealth Turbo class. That's going to be a really fun one, man. There's no promise saying that a modified drop-in turbo is going to win that class either. It's anybody's game, right? You got to get a good hit. You got to have good traction. And talking about those things is why I thought we would bring on an actual drag racing expert, somebody who really has some seat time, somebody who's actually won some awards and has some accolades. And then, of course, we also wanted to bring on the guy who built his truck. So today I am going to be kicking it over, to myself, talking to Richard Coker and Josh Harris. All right, guys, and now it's time for my favorite part of the show. That's where we get to bring somebody on and actually talk to them about some real-world diesel performance topics. Now, today, I brought on a superstar, a living legend, the man, the myth, Richard Coker, current Diesel Performance Challenge winner. Richard, how the hell are you?
I'm great, guys. How are y'all?
Doing good. I'm doing great, man. Thank you so much for taking some time out to talk with us today. And we also, for a super special episode here, we have a second special guest, Josh Harris, the founder and co-owner of Top Notch Garage. Josh, how the hell are you?
Man, I'm wonderful. Living the dream.
Not sure what dream that is, but we should work on it a little bit.
But it may actually be a nightmare. I'm not sure, but you know.
Now, guys, both of you have a lot of experience around diesels, around Duramaxes, around drag racing. You guys are down in Texas. What part of Texas are you from?
I'm in East Texas, out near Tyler.
Okay. And how about you, Richard?
I'm out in Midland, Texas, and West Texas.
Gotcha. Okay. Now, no East-West Texas rivalries, huh? That's not like a thing?
No, there's rivalries regardless of where you're at in Texas. You be 5 minutes down the road.
I dig it. Now, Richard, we got a chance to interview you a few times last year, and then after your big win at Diesel Power Challenge 2019, what a heartbreak not having it here in 2020. What are your thoughts about the competition?
Man, there was a lot of good runners in the voting. I can't wait till everything picks back up and we actually get to put all these strong competitors to work. I mean, I think everybody's bringing their A game for sure. Chris Patterson, he's been hammering it with that dually. It's been impressive to watch him and progress. And there's quite a few guys with some very strong rigs. So
insane.
As soon as we get a chance to actually compete again, I think everybody's in for a heck of a show.
Oh, man, am I excited. I think this is going to be one of the best competitions that we see in 2021. Real street trucks having real competition. And, hey, guys, that's a part of why I wanted to have Richard and Josh on today is to talk about our draggy competition. We here in the Midwest do a lot of sled pulling. We get to get out to a few dirt drags a year. And, hey, we do some drag racing here and there. But I think in the rest of the country, diesel owners prefer drag racing probably number one. Richard, I know you did not have a ton of sled pulling experience last year at DPC.
Well, it didn't show at all, did it? Right?
That foot and a half your front tire was off the ground was just how we like to see it out here in the Midwest.
Right. Yeah, I'm sure there was lots of pointers on what not to do there. That was my first hook. We went out to De Leon here in Texas and after DPC and did a little bit of R&D on it as well to get a little bit better on the sled pulling. But you're exactly right. There's a lot more drag racing associated with diesels here.
How about you, Josh? What's your background in for diesel performance?
Oh, man, I've literally done everything. I originally got into the diesel stuff when I was in the Air Force up in Idaho, so I got to meet Idaho Rob back before he was really super famous. He helped me learn a lot, kind of get into it, and then when I got out, I moved back to Texas, and I had my 06 LBZ that I built up, and then I got I don't know if you have ever heard about the dumpster, the van that I raced several years, but did that. I've also done sled pulling when I was in Idaho and back down here in Texas. There's a few organizations that did it, so done dyno stuff. I mean, I've done a little bit of everything, working on them, building transmissions, building turbo kits, tuning them, you name it, just about I've done it. So.
Now, you were a big part of Richard's build, correct?
Yeah. I mean, not to brag or anything, but I pretty much built everything. He just watched.
That's exactly what I expected to hear. I knew it all along. You never trust a guy.
He definitely did a lot of the work, but it was very much a team effort between all of us here at the shop and Richard back home, and really just a friendship that developed over the years, and we were really happy to be involved with it and do so well at the Diesel Power Challenge last year. Was really excited to go back again this year and prove that it wasn't a fluke, but circumstances happened to change that, and we're just hoping maybe they'll be back next year and we can come back even stronger.
Paul, I think the bottom line is Josh is the reason why I can't retire at 36 years old.
Hey, now don't put that on me.
It was retire at 36 or build the truck. Build the truck.
Right.
Yeah.
I may be the reason that your kid won't get to go to college, but you can't put the retirement thing on me.
Oh, I love that. Okay, so speaking of spending kids' college funds for no real benefit and drag racing, this draggy competition, I'm finding I'm getting a lot of guys who maybe don't have a ton of drag race experience, or maybe they're even just out running on a closed or private road. When you were brand new to making your first pass, Josh, and you were up there and you were meeting Idaho Rob, who is a diesel drag racing legend, What were some of the things that you had a hard time with your first couple of times out to the track?
I would say if you're looking at actually competition, it would be consistency and cutting a good light. If you're looking at just all-out performance and getting the best ET, it's learning how to launch the truck, what it likes to see for boost and RPM to get off the line the most efficiently.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think it's a tough one there because I've talked to a lot of different drag racers, and I by no means am an expert. I have maybe 6 passes under my belt, none of them good. So I'm always interested to hear because I get a lot of guys who are at the top levels that say, well, watch your boost. When you stand there and you're loading up the truck, which is just another way of saying I'm going to stand on the brakes and on the gas at the same time. They say to bring your boost up to whatever it is, 10 pounds, 15 pounds, 20 pounds of boost. And then I talk to other guys, and they seem to say, like, no, I don't even watch boost. I just watch my RPM. Once my RPM hits 2,100 RPM, 1,800 RPM, whatever your target is, and then they launch off of that. What's the difference? I mean, I know there's some correlation between RPM and boost, but it's not a perfect equation, right?
Right. I mean, for the most part, as long as your temperatures are all stable, when you get to a certain boost level, the RPM is going to be pretty much in the same spot every time. Higher heat may make it a little bit less. If your converter, the fluid gets hot, the converter is going to flash up a little bit higher. That may make your RPM a little bit higher. Vice versa. To me, I like to watch boost because it seems to be more consistent. You can get your RPM to flash up really quick before your boost really comes in all the way. Sometimes, especially if you have bigger turbos, they're going to be a little bit slower to come in. So with a stock turbo truck, mainly stock kind of milder builds, generally RPM is going to be just as consistent as watching boost. But when you get into the size of stuff like Richard has in his truck, boost is a lot more consistent. If you watch boost, it's going to leave pretty much the same every time, whereas RPM it may not.
Well, I think the main difference there is with the bigger chargers, when you're watching boost, when you're preparing to hit that second light and get ready to go, you need to know if you're coming up on boost, coming back on down on boost, or if it's stable, because every bit of that's going to change your 60 foot. Those milder builds where you're looking at RPM, I mean, you take a typical small VGT charger, it's going to be pretty consistent, like Josh said. But watching boost is on a larger setup, a little bit more competitive setup, is definitely going to be more consistent.
I like that. I like consistency. Richard, you've had some changes in your truck and your power levels throughout the time. I know from talking to you in the past, and even a few different trucks to go out there and play around with, right? So what were some of the things that were kind of a transitional period for you? What'd you have to relearn going from a stock turbo truck or a mild build into a balls out caged race truck?
Well, I would say the very first thing you have to learn is how to pedal the pickup to get it to spool with a decent sized charger. It's a dramatic change to where if you go to a stocker fuel pickup, it's pretty much instant, right? You don't have to worry about smoking out beams or anything like that, because it's math is going to limit it to a certain degree. You have a lot of other factors available that make it kind of dummy proof. But once you start getting into a higher horsepower setup, it's all about how you can feel the pickup, and even once you get to the light, you watch the boost, get the boost where you want it, make sure everything's stable, bring up the second light, and then you just listen to it and watch the light. So you try to keep everything just as stable and steady as possible. And in a smaller build, those just aren't factors you're thinking of, right? In a smaller build, I just roll up, I hold down the brakes as hard as I can with my left foot, and I stand on my gas until my boost hits the number I want, and then I let go of the brakes, and that's it. My other foot just goes to the floor. I mean, there's... Right. There's been several stock pickups that we may or may not have ran that way, where they will not overpower the brakes. So you can literally hold the throttle all the way down, handle the brake, and release when you're ready. Okay. What do you prefer racing? I mean, I know it's a lot of fun if you're in like a quarter mile or a longer truck, longer track, and you get up into that, triple digits or 90, 100 miles an hour. But most diesel guys run eighth miles.
Do you prefer, is it more fun, do you think, to run that super fast time and have the stress of like something might break, something might go wrong, I have to have my helmet, I have to have, torque converter lockup switch and all of these extra things, or is it more fun to go out and just race on a street truck?
Man, it's Josh may have a different opinion of this, but there's a lot of bragging rights to laying down a solid quarter-mile time. But eighth mile is definitely easier on the pocketbook. You don't quite have as much failures because you're not pushing it for that extended period of time. But I'm going to tell you right now, there's no replacement for the adrenaline you get for going and picking on somebody at the car wash either.
Josh, how about you? What do you think? What's the most fun setup to drag race?
It's hard to not go out to the drag strip and not have a good time. So to me, there really isn't much of anything. I mean, I've done index racing, bracket racing, heads up stuff. If you're winning, man, it's hard not to have fun. Now, if you're out there losing, yeah, it gets a little frustrating for sure. Making changes to a setup and trying to figure out what you need to do to make it work right. It's all part of the challenge. But when it starts working together and you're really seeing improvements, man, that to me is the best feeling, is when you make a big change that you've got to relearn how to do it. You get to start making times. I remember when I was building my van, we got it together the first time and it was running 13's. And we worked at it, and over the course of about a year to a year and a half, we had that thing down into the 10's. And that was a completely stock LBZ, two-wheel drive van with some nitrous on it. I mean, it had stock injector, stock CP3, stock turbo, cut some weight out of it. It was down around 5,300 pounds. But it was it ran a 10.8 at like 123 miles an hour, I think. And that was about the best feeling in the world, knowing that you were able to accomplish that. You learned from mistakes that you made, you figured out how to make it work together, and you accomplished the goal that you had. So that to me is about the most fun, is just the journey.
I like that. It is the journey, right? I mean, if we think about how many hours we put in compared to how much time we actually spend racing a truck, 10 to 14 seconds at a time, guys, right? So you spend weeks, months, years building this thing so you could run it for 14 seconds 3 times, 4 times in a day, and most guys are going to call it good, right?
Yeah.
100%.
Did I just bring down the mood with that reality? Did you guys both just kind of question all of your life decisions? You're like,
no,
shit.
Man, you pretty much nailed it. It's you get out to the drag strip and, it's all about the competition, but it's also about the camaraderie and the people that you meet doing it. I've made a lot of really good friends at the drag strip. And it's amazing to me how you can get people out there that are competitors, but you get somebody that breaks or ends up in a bind, and those people that are trying to beat them are sitting there helping them.
Absolutely.
There's guys. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've seen guys that were broke, were in the pit scrambling trying to get their truck fixed, and their competitors waiting for them to pull up to the line because they don't want them to they don't want to take a win on a broke truck that could get fixed. They're going to be a sportsman, and they're going to do what they can to make sure that they get a chance to actually prove that they're faster rather than taking the easy win. And it's amazing to me, and it's not just the diesel side of it. I see it in the gas side too. But how guys want to win, but they don't want to win, like that. They want to do what they can. I mean, you watch these drag racing shows, Street Outlaws and stuff, and you see it all the time. But I see it in real life too. It's not a reality TV thing. That's how it really is out there. Everybody wants to win, but they want to beat the guy. They don't want the competitor to beat himself. So it's really, really, like I said, it's hard to go out to the drag strip and not have fun, and that's part of it.
It's so true, man.
Is the people.
It's so true. And let's be real. I mean, even when we go to the drag strip, the purse rarely pays for the fuel it costs me to drive there that night. So even if I win a bracket racing competition, unless I'm in like some huge, actual like massive street race or something like that, there's really, the purses aren't huge. They're not gonna pay for your build. It's not profitable, right? Like, we're going out to do this because there's a passion.
Not at the level we're at, for sure.
Yeah, exactly, right? So like we're going out there for passion, and yeah, I mean, the trophy costs $10 at the trophy store. I don't have to build a truck and race it to go get a trophy. Like, I could go just buy a trophy.
Right.
But you're right, man. It's people want to do it because we want the competition. We want that fun, that thrill of being lined up next to somebody somebody running down the track and pulling back in the pits and laughing in their face, because there is no feeling better than that. No, but for real, there's that. I think you said it right. I think the camaraderie, the community that comes out of this is a huge deal. Hey guys, I want to get onto some technical advice here. Tire pressure, stock truck. If I got somebody who's in a stock or stock appearing turbo, or maybe an emissions equipped truck, they don't have balls out suspension. They're probably not going to buy Nitto 420s or whatever other street tire is popular these days, right? Like they're probably just running their normal everyday stock tires or some like Terra grapplers or something. Should they be messing with their tire pressure once they hit the track?
Absolutely.
Everybody's got a little bit different opinion on that, and it kind of depends on the tire size, the wheel size, weight of the pickup, etc. But you kind of have to be careful, because if you air down a radial to a certain degree, you're going to lose that contact point once you load that tire up. So, but I mean, it's trial and error. You still have to play with it, because what you run on the street, if it's 70 or 80 psi, is probably not going to be the best on the track. So, but you also don't want to turn around and follow what the guys are doing with drag radials or slicks and try to air down to 20 or 30 psi.
Yeah, well, I was just going to say, I mean, in sled pulling, I mean, we take the tire pressure out of, I mean, we're running it down to 10 psi up front, right? And just let that front end sag as far as we can. What's your increment? Because a lot of guys aren't showing up with an air pump. I mean, you definitely can find somebody with an air pump to fill your tire back up when you're at the track. Do you go down just like 5 psi at a time? Do you do it on just your front tires and not your back tires? Do you try to play with the leveling at all? Do you do it equal all around, all 4 tires, the same pressure?
A lot of it depends on the setup of the truck. Obviously, a mostly stock truck, maybe something that has like a tow tune or something like that, isn't going to be nearly as picky about it as, say, a truck that has a built transmission and, aftermarket turbo, that kind of thing, something that's putting down 550, 600 horsepower. They may want to see a little more change. Something that's putting out, closer to 400 horsepower. You could probably run your street pressures and not really hurt anything, because it's not gonna hit as hard off the line. So, and it also depends on how much you're spooling it up on the line and whatnot. Heavier tires and wheels are gonna naturally be a little bit slower, because they have a lot more moment of inertia to get it rolling. So, there's just so many factors involved. It depends on how big the tire is. A bigger tire is going to take less pressure than a smaller tire. So it's there's just so many factors involved. It's hard to say, but I would say a good starting point for most people is, drop about 10 psi off what you run on the street, unless you run really low tire pressures all the time. Most people in diesel pickups are running somewhere around 50 psi to 70 psi. I would say, somewhere around the 40 to 50 psi range is a good place to start. And, that's with a pretty big asterisk attached to it. It depends on the weight of the truck and the wheel and tire setup and all that. So,
I heard a blind promise to shave a second off your time by dropping 20 psi out of your tires.
Guaranteed, I heard it too.
Yeah. Whatever.
Now, and the weight of the pickup plays a huge role in it too. Because, I mean, for example, my 15 Denali, being a crew cab long bed, weighs in at over 8,000 pounds, and I don't air down tire pressure or anything, which it runs 50 psi on the street running Nitto 420s. But I mean, it's consistently at a high 1.7, low 1.8 every time, regardless. But then you get around, and when I first started running the regular cab LBZ on street tires, it took a lot of playing to get the pressure right, because it just wanted to hop out of the hole at certain pressures, and then other pressures it would just break them loose. So it just, there's so many variables, it's really hard to tell someone what to do. And even if you take 2 identical pickups, they're still going to react differently, because shocks may be, responding a little bit differently. The weight position may be just a tad different. There's a lot of factors, like Josh said.
Awesome. Speaking of 60-foot times, what's the best thing you can do to impact your 60-foot time?
Better tire.
Ooh, that was fast.
And shocks, yep.
Slicks and shocks. What about basics like traction bars? Do you think traction bars, I mean, obviously, if we can avoid some wheel hop, we should be able to shave something.
Yeah, in the Duramax world, the old trick of clamping the leaf spring is really effective, cheap, easy to do. You can take it off when you get done at the track. But if you're lifted, or the Dodges and the Fords, a lot of times they have blocks between the leaf spring and the rear axle from the factory, so they're a little bit more prone to leaf spring axle wrap when you're leaving hard off the line. So traction bars are definitely a benefit on those. On the Duramaxes, like I said, clamping the leaf spring, put a clamp on the leaf pack where you clamp the overload to the leaf spring is a really effective way of controlling wheel hop. So
that's such a good one.
For a beginner, that is probably the easiest and quickest thing to do with the drag strip to help get it off the line a little bit better.
Yeah, as far as the Duramax goes, you can just clamp the leaf springs in the rear, take the torsion keys out of the front, get the front as low as possible, level the tie rods, and go have fun. Very simple.
God, that's good advice. And it is too, guys. Like, if you're out and you're having fun and you want just like they said, that cheap, easy, make an impact right now and measure it, you can do that. And the really cool thing is that if you've already gotten a Dragy or one of your friends has the Dragy, you can actually look at those measurements on the Dragy app. You guys have been playing with this here recently. I've been seeing some of your photos. I do expect to see 2 submissions for our contest here very shortly. By the way, reminder to all of our listeners out there, please submit your submission. You can submit a form as many times as you want. I'm just going to take your best run. So if people are waiting, like they want to make a few more runs, just submit the run you got. You could always go out and resubmit a better run if you make a better run in the future. So there's no limit on that. But you guys have been playing with it. What do you guys think about the app? What do you guys think about the tool? How do you use it?
Man, it's a extremely valuable little tool to have. Recently, we were actually using it on a Turbo Polaris Razor, just doing comparisons on what it did bone stock, 0 to 30, 0 to 60, 8th mile. The Dragy app, you can go in there, set your own parameters, whether that's based on mile per hour, acceleration, deceleration, quarter mile, 8th mile. There's a lot of variables and things that you can go in and customize to see what you're doing and what changes are benefiting. That Razor, we compared stock to tune only to clutching with the tune, and ended up shaving a little over half of a second on the 0 to 60 time with just tuning alone. So it's a extremely handy little app, especially during the quarantine right now when the tracks are closed. Right, just go hop in and pick up. You made a few changes. What does an extra 3,000 psi rail pressure do for us? Are we gaining any mile per hour on it? And it's accurate enough to tell you.
Yeah, I've had so much fun. I made the mistake of leaving it in my car for about a week. I didn't get a ticket, but yeah, I probably should have quite a few times, because it is, like you said, it's just fun, man. Like, I don't know. What does 5 more PSI at launch do? That's the question that usually leads to broken shit. But yes, right. What does 5 more PSI at launch do, right? This will tell you. This will tell you.
Well, it also will tell you if that road has just a little bit too much dust over it, and that first pass is going to be a wild ride.
That's a problem for West Texas, though. We don't have the sand blowing across the roads out here. We just have trouble finding them that are flat and straight enough.
Too poor for grass. I know how it goes.
It's a phenomenal tool, and for the price, you cannot beat it for testing and tuning for sure.
Yeah,
it's a really nice alternative to going to a drag strip or finding a dyno to do tuning changes. I know back, about a month ago, Richard, we were using it to dial in the tuning on your Denali.
Right.
Just doing a few runs, making changes, going out, comparing it, seeing what the mile per hour difference was. Seeing how it picked up VT and that kind of thing. So real quick and simple way of measuring power changes. And as long as you go back to the same spot, even if you don't have a completely flat road, if you're running from the same spot, it's going to be consistent. I can't tell you how many videos I've watched where somebody has their Dragy video showing on the screen at a drag strip, and then they look at the time slip it prints out, and it's within hundredths of a second and mile per hour the same way. Really amazing technology.
Absolutely. I just had a company from overseas reach out to me, P Gear. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of them. I guess they're bigger in Asia. But they sent me 5 units. So next week, we're going to be doing a review comparing the Draggy to the P Gear and hopefully compare that against the track time. So we're trying to get out to a track here in Wisconsin where things are a little bit more open right now. And we're going to try to run and see, hey, we know the Draggy is accurate. Are there other GPS performance data loggers that are accurate? And then, yeah, like you said, let's see that hard fact right against the track slip. I think that'll be a really interesting kind of test to run across the board.
Yeah, for sure. Well, a lot of the times when you're reading a magazine article, and they're saying what the thing does in a quarter mile time and 0 to 60 and all that stuff, they're using similar technology. They have their VBox stuff that they're using, just a very high accuracy GPS device that measures all that stuff. I think theirs have accelerometers and that kind of thing in them to make them a little bit more accurate. But for all I know, that the Draggy uses the accelerometer in your smartphone to kind of perform the same function. So, there are several real world applications that use the same technology to what Draggy does. So this isn't something new. This is just an evolution of something that's been in use for several years. So.
Well said. Absolutely.
Well, it keeps Josh honest too. When you add 100 horsepower to the seat of the pants, but Draggy tells you it's only about 20 horsepower. Right.
I love that. Just letting consumers check. That's all. Just letting consumers verify it.
That's right.
Richard,
it'll tell you if those stickers are really worth the horsepower you claim they are. Sure.
Oh, they always are. Yeah.
We all know the Big C gives you an extra 20 horse. That's not even a question anymore. It's been proven.
That's right.
Well, that's only if the mirrors are
up. Richard, any advice you want to share with somebody who's brand new to drag racing?
Man, get out there, make mistakes, make some friends, and it's all about trial and error. Don't overanalyze it. Just relax. It's all right to make mistakes, and you learn as you go. It's the first step is just getting out there and doing it. It's kind of like you miss every opportunity that you don't take, right? So, try small changes, visit with people, see what works for them, see if it works for you. There's an endless amount of possibilities and a ton of fun to be had.
Hell yeah. Josh, I don't know if you could say it better, but here's your challenge. What advice do you want to share?
I would say practice. Get out there, go to the track, get your Draggy app, find you safe place to make some runs, a private road or something like that. Learn your truck, learn what it likes, learn what it doesn't like. Like Richard said, make small changes, see how it affects it. It's all about figuring out how you need to operate your truck. How to leave the line, if you've got a lockup switch, when you need to lock it up. So many little things, tire pressure, shock settings. It's a fun game, and it's really rewarding when you figure it out and you start making progress. So even if you're not the fastest truck out there, it's a lot of fun. I've had as much fun racing a tune-only truck as I have racing a fully built race truck. So just get out there and do it.
That's so true. I think my favorite pass I ever made was right around 15 seconds, maybe the 13.5, but still it was in a Duramax swapped Humvee, and it was just a blast. It was just fun. It's not the fastest pass I ever had. It wasn't the best launch I've ever had, but it was just fun. And I guess that's what I want to share with our listeners today is go out and have some fun. You bought this truck for a logical purpose. At least most of us did. Most of us needed a truck at the beginning of our diesel owner experience, but now you have it, and now you're listening to this show. You know that there's more you can do with the truck. Do you need to be a balls-out race truck? Absolutely not. Do you need to go out and spend $40,000 to convert it into a competitive truck to win the class? No, you don't. But what you can do is just go out and have some fun. And so for today, this has been Paul Wilson from Diesel Performance Podcast. Get a Draggy and go out and have some fun, guys.